Do I need to do that?
All right, I've never done this before. We're going to do this tonight. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is a committee meeting for the superintendent search. We're conducting this meeting on April the 22nd, 2024. The first item of business is to approve the board agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the board agenda?
I make a motion we approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay. So everybody vote, I think, on that to approve it? Okay, all hands up. We ask unanimous to approve the board agenda for the superintendent search committee. Dr. Niggs, the chairman of the school board, selected a committee to kind of spearhead the search along with the South Carolina School Board Association. Actually doing the search, they came and spoke to the entire board on April the 9th, if I remember correctly on that date, and it was unanimous that we approved them to begin this search for us. I talked to Scott Price, who was here on that night, and him and Ms. LeGrand on Friday, I believe it was, and I asked that they kind of join us today in this committee meeting, trying to kind of spearhead. We've got some ideas, but kind of guide us through where we are, what we need to do, and which direction we need to take. So we have Judy LeGrand and Scott Price from the South Carolina School Board Association online. That's just for our minutes. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. All right, so I talked to you all on Friday. I just kind of wanted to get y'all here. I know I went through my packet that y'all distributed to us on April the 9th, and we're in phase 2. I went through it over the weekend. We did phase 1 according to your guidelines, and then we're in phase 2. So phase 2 is assessing district priorities in relation to needs of the district and the qualities desired in a superintendent. So first of all, our next one is just to kind of hear from y'all. I know I heard from you again last Friday, but just kind of hear something from y'all. Judy, you were not here on that meeting, but any input? You want to say anything before the group?
I wasn't with the group or with Scott and Dr. Moore when we met with you on the 9th, but I was on the call Friday.
Right.
Right now, we need to look at focus group and a timeline and an online survey. Just getting feedback from the committee as to next steps.
Which that is number 4 on our agenda, which is the superintendent search timeline. I know we talked. We talked kind of like we have 2 different guidelines, and we talked how I just said I'd kind of like to mesh the 2 of them, and you kind of gave some ideas of where we should start. And we first talked about doing the online surveys as soon as possible. Is that
right? We're looking at doing focus group meetings on May the 14th and May the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
And in conjunction with that, on the 14th, we would open up an online survey, and a link would be sent out to parents, teachers, and stakeholders for them to give their input. And then one thing we need to do is kind of give an idea of who all you would like for us to meet with in the focus group over those 2 days.
Let me just tell you, I know you know who the group is. We have Shanice Dawkins here with us. She's our vice chair on the school board, and we have Billy Blackwell here with us too. Peter Wilkins is on the committee, but he could not leave work in time to join us tonight. So I just want to let you know who's here for the meeting. So I know we talked about ideas, and you gave me some ideas of people who we need to include. Do you want to go over that, or you need to say what?
Sure. During the day, we usually try to schedule meetings that would last 45 minutes to an hour at the district office. We could have a meeting with cabinet members. We could have another meeting with district office staff. We could have a meeting with principals, another meeting with assistant take notes and we compile a report from those meetings and from the online focus group.
So, Ms. LeGrand, this is Shanice Dawkins. We need to have those surveys, those focus groups and those surveys before we move into phase 2, assessing district priorities in relation to needs of the district and qualities desired in the superintendent.
The focus groups and the survey are that's the material we use to assess the, what you are looking for in the
Okay.
next superintendent.
So we do need to do that quickly. Okay.
If we do those meetings in May, then I would propose leaving the survey open until probably about June the 5th. And then perhaps we could have a meeting with you all to give a report. Now, I don't know, would that report be for the full board or just for the committee? What do you think, Scott? Full?
I would suggest for the full board,
I
just
would
so
too.
everybody has the same information.
Yes, I would agree with that, full board.
And from that report, I'll have a draft of a framework for an ad, but we can add to it any characteristics or qualities that you feel we should add, from that report, from the focus groups and the online survey.
Okay.
And I would just say that when you're looking at your ad like that, it's the more general, the better, just so that you're kind of throwing a wider net, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get too specific because you might cut somebody out that might otherwise have applied.
Okay.
What type of questions are asked on the surveys and within the focus group? What drives the data?
We ask people to let us know which group they are a part of, whether they're a parent, a teacher, community member. Then we ask them to rank 10 characteristics in order, with 1 being the most important, 10 being the least important. We ask, should the board look for someone with a similar leadership style as the current administration, or something totally different, or kind of a mix, in the middle. And then we also ask for comments, and we will compile those.
And you create that survey?
Yes.
Okay.
It will be in SurveyMonkey, and we will send a link. The district office will put it on their website. They can put it on the school's website. They can email it out to stakeholders. Just any way that you all want to get the word out there that it's available.
And Madam Chair, I would add too that we'll send the survey to you, the committee, to approve.
Yeah.
So if there's something that we would like to add that is possible to do?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. When do you think that can be completed and sent to us?
I can get a draft of the survey to you either tomorrow or Wednesday, probably Wednesday.
Sure.
I can send it to the 4 people on the committee,
Okay.
and then you can let me know if you want to take something away or add something, and we can go from there.
Okay. And just for community members, committee members, I checked with I Swear, and both of those dates, the 14th and the 20th, is available for us to have a community meeting. We will do both those dates or just one, whichever y'all want to do. So I've just mentioned about them, a place for us to have the meetings for the nighttime meetings. All right, that kind of hits superintendent search timeline, but we need to maybe go a little bit deeper. Ms. LeGrand, you mentioned, okay, back to the timeline, you mentioned May 14th. If we can do 2 meetings, 2 nighttime meetings. Do y'all think we need 2 nighttime meetings?
I do.
You do? Okay, Mr. Blackwell agrees that we need to have 2 nighttime meetings. And we can have the surveys that are sent out on the 14th, so that would be part of our timeline there. On May the 14th, we'd open the survey and we'll begin the first meeting, community meeting, or maybe do some meetings during the daytime that day, and then,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, I would do some on the 14th and some on the 20th,
okay,
during the day, and then have an evening meeting each night.
okay. And then you meant,
I would suggest leaving the survey open until about June the 5th. And then, maybe looking at around June the 12th to give you all a report on the focus group and the
That's a fast
survey,
turnaround time.
and also look at a draft ad and a brochure.
June 5th is on a Wednesday, and so, of course, it's the 12th.
is that Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
You can, if there's another night that'll work, I'll just kind of,
Well, we should be meeting on the 10th as
yeah.
a board. We will
Yeah.
meet
Okay.
June 10th.
We meet
okay,
on,
well then let's do it on the 10th.
okay, let's do that.
So we will leave it open to June 5th, and then you will give us a report at our meeting on the 10th.
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned on Friday about afterwards, after that, when to start posting, when to start recruiting, etc.
And now this is, I'm just gonna give you, this is a total draft, you can change it, but I would think maybe opening up the search on June the 17th. That's when we start recruiting, we start advertisement, I start collecting applications, leave it open until about July the 22nd. And then around July 30th, if there's a night that's close to a board meeting, we would come and present the pool to the full board, and the board would select their semifinalists in executive session.
If we want to do on June 30th is on a well, you said July 30th, correct? July 30th is on a Tuesday. If we want to do a Monday meeting, it'll be the 29th.
That'll be fine. And then now it's gonna vary, depending on how many semifinalists the board selects. But usually try to reserve 3 nights for semifinalist interviews. Looking now, and some boards, I have had boards do it on a Saturday, do it all day long, do all the interviews. But typically they do 3 nights, and try to do no more than 3 interviews per night. And I was looking at August 5 through 7. And I don't know, when does your school start? When does it open up?
You start on the 5th or the 12th
I'd have to look.
this year? You starting on the 8th? Starting on the
Students
8th.
start 8th, or teachers, students start 8th?
Okay. And what was the dates you gave? August 5th through the 12th?
5, 6, and 7 for 3
August
nights
5th through
interviews.
7th. Okay.
See your calendar. Your eyes are better than mine.
Go ahead. You can have it.
That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Mhm. And they start school on Thursday.
Okay. Now, this is flexible. Let me, I wanna type some of this up and, or just get a guideline, and then we just look at it. I'll present all this information to the board again tonight, because we've got 3 meetings tonight. But we'll kinda type this up and just have a tentative guideline then.
Okay,
And then make our final decision of those.
okay. And then
Dates.
if you interview your semifinalists the 5th through the 7th, you're probably looking at, let me find my calendar. public. Because at the finalist level, pictures are posted on your website, they go out to the paper, so, they have to let other people know before it goes public.
Okay.
And if we follow that, maybe as early as August the 26th, that week, having finalists in your district.
And we mentioned on Friday that, I mean, it can go longer. We know that. We know that, you know, our goal is to get the best superintendent for our district. And, you know, we don't have to rush. We don't have to, you know, if it works out to this guideline, that's great. If it needs to go longer, it goes longer.
Yeah, at any point, you know, if it's a busy week and you need to push it out a week, or if we need to leave the search open another week, we can always extend it, you know, as we go along. That's why I always like to post it. Well, I would rather not post it, but if you do post it, put proposed or tentative timeline, because it can.
I fix it. All these dates are not concrete.
Right, yeah, we can. Okay. All right, so I think our job right now as a committee is to decide the focus groups, correct?
Yeah.
We need to decide those.
Well, they should be those to us.
And
Well, those are just suggestions. I mean, if you want to combine some of those or not have them, that's entirely up to you.
well, I think all of those that you mentioned are good. Because you kind of said, even at the nighttime, you have some that cannot make it, there maybe are employees of the district and cannot make it during the daytime, but would like to go at nighttime.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't maybe fit in that one of those categories, but would like to go to attend at the nighttime, one of the nighttime events, so I think that's great.
Okay.
And I like the PTOs and the school improvement councils too, having a section for them. All right. Do y'all have any questions for them? And then we can decide on which groups.
I don't think so.
Y'all can just decide on that and let us know.
Yeah. I'll call you or email you, what we can end up with.
I think all the groups listed are very important. I mean, you got your district office admin, then your principals, assistant principals, PTO, school improvement council, business leader, and general community. So I think all of those need to be included. Mr. Blackman, what you thinking?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
now, your business leaders, are you wanting to have a separate meeting, or are you just gonna invite them to the community meetings that are in the evening?
I think invite them to the community meetings. What do y'all think?
You talking about business leaders?
Become a business,
Yeah.
I thought they need to be separate.
you think so? That's fine, I don't care.
I think
I like
business,
seeing them join forces together.
Well, may I share my thoughts on that?
Okay.
I'm looking at Judy as I say this, so she can tell me if I'm wrong, which she frequently does. If you have a community meeting and you advertise, a lot of times you get 5-7 people that show up. So if you're looking at doing an option of combining them, that's not a bad idea, just to make sure just to help you have the numbers there. If that makes sense.
Okay.
it's a group, I just think, what are we missing? I said it's the group missing, I just had it in my mind.
Well, because we can always add them. Let's just brainstorm
I think-
whatever group we can add.
I think, like you say, the, business and, like maybe these churches and
I
things
can say
like that.
church
go-
leaders and
Groups,
business
yeah.
leaders, to me, should go together.
Yeah, y'all can decide that and let us know what you
Okay.
want to do.
We'll do that.
Oh, I know who it was. Other, elected officials, like your city or county council.
That's what I was thinking, business people.
Oh, okay. Well,
business
not all
slash,
that business.
slash legislators.
Okay, but I was, yeah,
Or
make
elected officials, yes.
yeah.
Definitely needs to go in there. Alright. Is there any questions we have for them?
So that's all that we need to be working on, just
Our
the focus
list,
group?
our list, our focus
I'm
group?
gonna get the sample survey to you all. I will try to get it to you tomorrow. If not, it will be first thing Wednesday. And then if you all can decide on your list for the focus group and get that to me, I can talk to Claudia about, talking to her about scheduling reserving the boardroom, and then she would send out the emails to those groups to let them know, your time slot is 10 o'clock, your time slot is 11, and invite them to come for those individual focus group meetings.
Okay. Alright,
We need to make sure, like I said, when we set a time frame like that for these, pulling the principals and people out of schools, and to bring them up here for the meeting like that, we got it covered.
yeah, it's gotta be staggered.
We've got to
Yeah.
have it, and we've got to
Yeah.
have it where they get.
That's why she mentioned the other day was having principals at one time and then assistant principals at another time, so you wouldn't leave your,
Yeah,
Meetings
I
of
would
attendance.
do principals on maybe the 14th, and assistant principals on the 20th. Don't ever pull them out, at the same time.
right, right.
And if they can't get away, they can come to another meeting during the day or come to an evening meeting, or they can email me. I always give them my email address so they can send me, their input.
And I'm
Is it too
We
time
still have,
consuming to do
we still
one
have a few
principal?
cases there where we don't have an assistant principal in a school. But like I said, we'll tend to make sure we have it covered if it has to be somebody else to move down for a bit.
Yeah.
Is it too time consuming to do during the monthly principal meeting? Don't they meet monthly?
Mhm.
Is that too time consuming
Well-
to do during then?
Do you know the schedule, Claudia? Ms. Duckett? When the principals meetings are? Do y'all know? Ms. Westmoreland, y'all? Which days?
May 14th?
Oh, that'd be perfect. I don't know, unless y'all, can we squeeze that in?
Oh, yeah.
Dr. White, can we squeeze up a little bit of time?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that might would work for the principals. We'll come up with a guideline. And Ms. Duckett and I, we may have to sit and talk, and that we had teacher advisory groups. I'm just thinking,
That's
we had,
already ended, but we can get them together if we
Okay.
need to.
okay. So that's, to me, a group that we may can include in these timeframes. Okay. Did you have another thought?
Just trying to think. Judy, can you send us something there showing the time slots so we can just fill the slots in maybe? It make it a lot easier to me to be able to know how many slots you got each day when we try to split
Yeah.
these up.
And we can be flexible. We can start in the morning, do some in the morning, some in the afternoon. That way, if you need to kind of fit it around, principal schedules or teachers, will have to come after they're going to have time to get away from their schools. But I can give you some tentative time slots, but we can make it work with whatever fits for the district.
Because you said 45 minutes to an hour for each
Yeah.
meeting. Okay.
At those small groups during the day, usually about 45 minutes, the community meetings we usually allow. They can be as short as 45 minutes if we don't have a lot of people, or we try to cut it off at an hour, but we try to keep it to that time slot.
Okay. All right.
But I will be glad to send a sample time. But no, you can adjust it to whatever you need to do, like to fit in the principal's meeting and that sort of thing.
Okay. touch. I'll call you, I have y'all's numbers.
All right, you know where we are.
I sure do. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you.
All right, have a good night.
You too, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so my thinking is, all that she mentioned, and if we want to divide and have leaders, our business leaders, and
Our business
Elected-
leader and elected
elected
officials
officials.
need to kind of go together and then just do community, because we don't want them to turn into something else.
okay, that's fine, that is fine with me.
Somebody had their grass cut in 2 weeks, and all of a sudden they see some county council there, they wanna talk about it, so.
So we'll have one of those on one night and one of those
That's
on the
why
other night.
I'm thinking if we could get a sheet from Judy, just let us fill in the blanks. We know who's going to what.
Right, that'd help a lot, that was a great suggestion, I think, Mrs. Bell, I think that'd help a lot.
That way we can break some out and whatever needs to be done for us, keeping everything covered. Well,
And when she gets the surveys, the samples, if she sends it to me, I'll make sure I'll send it to all y'all, of course.
She said she's sending it to all of us on
Okay,
Wednesday.
okay.
Is she have our email? I guess she has our email.
I'll make
address.
sure she does.
She said she's sending all of us on Wednesday. So do we need to meet again once we get it, or what happens then? Just to see if there's anything need to be added, anything we wanna take away.
Let's look at them first, and then we'll decide.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Sounds good.
Think there's anything else we need to add tonight?
Nothing else on the agenda?
All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
I guess I'll have to second.
All right. We are adjourned.
Wonderful meeting.
Today is Monday, April the 22nd, 2024, and this is a special call meeting of the Cherokee County School Board. First item on the agenda is the approval of the board agenda. Do I have a motion for the approval of the board agenda?
I make a motion we approve the agenda.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. That is unanimous. The next item on the agenda is for the South Carolina School Board Association officer and board nominations. Mr. Blackwell has been serving as our representative on the South Carolina School Board Association for Region 12. It is time for that position to come back up for re-election. And what we need, Mr. Blackwell has done a great job. He's been on multiple committees. He has really represented Cherokee County, Chester, Fairfield, Lawrence 55, Lawrence 56, Newberry, and Union counties well. So we want to say thank you, Mr. Blackwell, for that work. But right now it's time to actually renominate him for his position. So what we just need from the school board is basically a motion to nominate Mr. Blackwell for the director position for Region 12. It will come from the school board association, from our school board, and then they go to the school board association.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we, the Cherokee County School Board, nominate Mr. Billy Blackwell as Regional Director for Region 12.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion?
Y'all do understand, you can nominate a different person if you want.
We understand.
I just said if you want.
I was gonna say, do you want it?
I appreciate it.
You
I'll
enjoy
do
doing it?
I'll do it. I just said you can nominate something different. I'll be glad to.
Any further discussion? All in favor, show of hands. That is Mr. Wilkins, Ms. Shibby, Ms. Shackelford, Ms. Dawkins, myself, Mr. Surratt, Ms. Gallman, Mr. Cashwood, Mr. Blackwell.
I'm just staying out of it.
He's staying out of it. That passes. The next item on the agenda is executive session for discussion of individual employment matters. Do we have a motion to go into executive session for individual employment matters?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we go into executive session for the discussion of individual employment matters.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. That is unanimous. We are now in executive session. All right, we have been in executive session for discussion of individual employment matters. Do we have a motion to return to regular session?
I make a motion, we return to regular session.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? All in favor, a show of hands? That is unanimous. We are in regular session. The next item is action as needed from executive session. Do we have any action needed?
Chair, I make the motion for the superintendent to move forward with his recommendation involving employee A.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? No further discussion, all in favor, show of hands? That is unanimous. Let's see. Next item is personnel recommendations. Board approval as requested.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the recommendations brought forth by Dr. White for personnel items.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, a show of hands? That is unanimous. Let me check one thing. Next item that we have is the superintendent search committee update to the board. Ms. Gallman?
Yes, sir. Let me pull up my little sheet, my little notes right quick. We met tonight with Scott Price and Julie LeGrand from the South Carolina School Board Association. That kind of gives us another little overview, kind of like they did the previous meeting on April the 9th. We have come up with a couple of dates for some focus groups. May 14th and May 20th, we're going to have some focus group times. And I'm going to give you some examples of what those focus group times will be. They want to meet with principals, assistant principals, the teacher forum, possibly student advisory groups, student leader groups from the middle and high schools, various school representatives, assistant principals, teacher advisory groups, and teacher forum groups, the district office staff, PTO, school improvement council, and community leaders and elected officials. We're going to have different sessions during the daytime, and then at nighttime we'll have a full open meeting on the 14th and the 20th. We also talked about surveys. They're going to come up with a survey. They're going to send us a rough draft of some surveys of what we would like to see in our next superintendent. Those surveys will be sent here, and we can put on our website, our Facebook page, the school's Facebook pages. It'll be a link where we can email out to different groups. It will begin, and this is a proposed timeline, May 14th through June the 5th will be some surveys. The focus groups again will be May 14th and 20th. On June the 10th, they would like to come and present to the school board the results of that survey. June the 17th through the 22nd, they will begin the search and advertisement for our school board as school superintendent. They're thinking July 29th, again, all this is proposed timeline. There'll be a pool presented to the full board of some candidates. August the 5th, 6th, and 7th is a semi-finalist interviews, and hopefully maybe by August 12th, there may be the opportunity to announce a finalist. I think that's all my whole summary.
Okay.
I think that's it. I'll get that more in writing and be able to hand that to all the board members. Was there anything else, Mr. Black, or Ms. Dawkins?
I think you got it.
No? Did you add that they were thinking about bringing the finalists to our district on August 26th?
No, I did not. So thank you
That was
for,
the only other date that I had.
again, those dates are tentative.
All these dates, so they are not in stone, so to speak. If we need to move something out or have to change something, maybe we run a survey longer or anything. I mean, that's an option of us as a board.
So at this time, the committee does not have anything to bring to the board, just
Just from information.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is adjournment from the special call session. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. As unanimous, we will take just a short 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and begin the next. move into the workshop session. So this will be a call of order for that meeting. You'll be given an agenda for this meeting, so we need approval of the board agenda for the workshop. Do we have a motion for the approval of the board agenda for the workshop?
I make a motion to approve the board agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. That is unanimous. Okay. Dr. White will turn it over to the budget workshop for the general fund.
And I'll turn it over to Ms. Isom.
And I will tell y'all, this is a very, very rough working document. Just, I want to put that out there to begin with. Because Dr. Carpenter, this is a joke, not that he and I talked about. He said he don't do budgets. So that's a joke that he and I have been going through for the last few weeks. And so I was so thankful to get Dr. White here to kind of help me, guide me through the end of this process. But I tried to take what Sherry had done in the past and give you the same type of information because you're used to seeing that. So that is what we have in front of you. I started with the different things, the table of contents. And the first thing is the budget memo, which states some of the things that I put in there. Nothing is set in stone at the time. I took our local revenues for 1 meal is $151,727 times our 2018 to calculate our local revenue at the time, at the particular time. That's with no millage increase for this year, is what we're planning. And then the state revenues, we have projections on those, and those are included, but they are not final either. They have not, they went to the House, but haven't come to the Senate. So everything is still kind of in the air. For the revenues down there with our state mandated, we are trying to up the state mandated, the beginning teacher salary is $47,000. We are still working with that. We're trying to get some formulas right with the what the increase will be, because we are at the minimum on several of our scales. So we've got to do something to make it more equitable to be competitive in our area, because right now we're not competitive with other areas, other schools in our area. So that is one of the things we started doing. The other thing is for administrative and salaries, we probably do about the same increase. These will probably change once you see my numbers. I'm really high, but I had to have somewhere to start. I really didn't have a guidance, so that's why your numbers are kind of high to start with for that. For your insurance, your athletic supplements, there are some increases. I have included that in our packet. You can look at that. They are projecting an 11.8 increase in your PIPA insurance. That is also going to increase the insurance part of that. They are expecting a 1% in the retirement. That is also going to increase. The other, we are really increasing in every division because everything's constantly going up. So, also in the packet, there's 13.5 requested new staffing positions. That does not include the 16 that y'all already approved. These are ones that we kind of, and Dr. White has not had a chance to review those, and I think he wants to take time to review those.
Yeah, so to be clear, the 16 they previously approved are in the budget.
The 16 that they already approved is in the budget,
And
the 13 that we're
correct.
projecting is in my current numbers.
Yeah.
Even though they haven't been approved, I did include them, so we would know what it would cost if we included them. So, y'all have any questions so far? I'm not sure how this is gonna work. I've never done a budget. I've come before my board before, and I just said, this is what we have. Do you have, so I'm just not sure how y'all want to go with that.
I think Ms. Isom, just, you're good, okay?
Okay.
So relax.
I'm not really nervous,
this
I'm
is
just
high
nervous
level.
because my numbers are not, they're not firm for me, and I'm just not used to giving this report so early with not more firm numbers, so just so you know that.
Revenue from the state is
Yeah.
not settled, the teacher salary schedule is not settled, it's gone from the House to the Senate, and that might change, and so it's very much in flux, so
And
thank
we
you.
understand that as a board. I mean, we know that a lot of it's in flux. It's dependent upon what goes on down in Columbia.
Right.
And we, like I said, we fortunate to have Mr. Blackwell on with the State School Board Association. So we get updates. So we understand it. We know that this is a very high-level discussion,
Okay,
and that nothing is set in stone, and that a lot can change, so we understand that.
okay. So on the next page 3, I've got the revenues, on there that I have estimated so far with what the numbers that I have been given. And we're showing in our local to go up, 2.2 million for the year. For the others, there's still some unknown, and that looks like it might go up 1.653 million. And I was telling Dr. White earlier, and that's something that as a board, we'll be glad to add those things. I budgeted what Sherry had budgeted before, and some of the indirect costs and the transfers were not budgeted before. If you would like to include those, we can estimate those. They're not currently in this budget that I presented to you today. So with the current budget, the revenues is at 96 million, which is a 5.7 increase from last year without raising your millage.
Yep. Those are estimates, yep.
Those are all estimates. The next page is the different categories of expenses. The salaries, of course, is going up 8 million, and that includes all the positions that I've requested in a very, probably too high of a raise for everyone, so we're going to go back and look at that. I'm not really sure. We tried to use a competitive percentage, but the way your teacher scale is, some of it's 3%, some of it's 4%, some of it's 5%, because what we do is we take 1 year over the next year and see what the percentage of change is. So we're trying to get that more competitive for each year.
It's the most complicated teacher salary schedule I've seen, I think, ever.
And it will cost us more money anyway, because right now our teacher schedule only goes to 23, and this is going to 28.
28, so it's
28.
5 more steps.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is the increase in that information. Of course, there's some additional supplements that athletics have requested. I left the the superintendent annuity in case that we do get another superintendent. We can always niche that if you think that we need to take that out. The other is the health insurance, retirement, Social Security. Of course, that's all going to go up because your expenses, your salaries is going up. So all of that is increased. So that just that increase alone is 14 million as an estimate. Just a very high. All these are rough numbers, of course. All right, the rest we go down in instructional, and this is another thing. Sherry had split out the athletics budget kind of separate. I did not. So some of my numbers are going to be different in different areas. For like equipment is going to show a lot higher because a lot of that is just athletics. I can split that out if you prefer. That's just a preference. I didn't know if that was something that she wanted, because on 1 year she did it, 1 year she didn't. So I didn't do it, but I can definitely do that.
Yeah, we'll make sure we break that out for you so you can see exactly what is there. And before you continue on, just make note under the total on page 4 at the top, total salaries and associated expenditures. The delta on that is a $14 million increase right now. So when you see an increase in the budget, this is predominantly things that are related to salaries and benefits. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So you said the delta is potentially 14 million.
Correct.
As we go down to the next schedule, there's instructional services. That is just increase for different things that they need for instructional services. That's been increased. Some of it, a lot of it, if it's part of athletics, like equipment, some of your technology is in there, other technical services, some of those are moved around, but I'll definitely split out athletics for you. The next one, student services, that's increased due to different things in student services. The some of that and the data processing service, a lot of those are up because some of those things were done over ESSER funds, and we don't have those anymore. One of those was Power School, which will cost the district $600,000 this year for Power School. And that was paid out of ESSER last year, so that has got to be moved into our current fiscal budget. There are some issues about some of the things in Power School that we don't want to keep, and that's something
Yeah,
contract.
we're gonna be,
We haven't found a contract.
yeah, we'll take a close look at that one.
Let's see here. The other is utilities, that is a huge increase. We got some new rates on those. So that's your utilities, your water, your electric, all of those are increasing for that. And, of course, we're adding a new building with the music and the transportation. So I tried to estimate what that would cost for those utilities in that area. Then, of course, we get to the athletics part that I don't have in there. I've got split in other areas. The copiers, the repairs and maintenance, that fee went up to service all our contracts for our copy machines and different other repairs and maintenance all around the district is going up. Then leases, I kept the same uniform. They requested the same amount. The pupil transportation, the hazard route, they did increase that by $4,500 for the hazardous routes, because I think they have to pay for stipends for students to be riding with students and with meetings. I think that's what that is.
Yep.
Let's see, for telephone, there's a price increase on the telephone, so that's included in there. The technology and purchase services is also part, some of that is Power School, just like it is in the, data processing service. Both of those are split between those places.
I don't know.
And then, some of the other things are pretty much the same. Okay, the dual enrollment scholarship, that is going up because our enrollment is going up, so that there's an increase of $50,000 in that. Other professional and technological, that went down. Not really sure what department. What I do is like what everybody, I put in everything that everybody asked. All the principals, whatever they asked for, transportation, everything that anybody asked for is in there. Nothing has been cut at this time.
So she's gonna make me be the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I told him, I'm not familiar enough with the schools to say, you don't need this or you don't need that. So I was glad they came in and helped.
We'll all work together on that, yeah.
Now, Ms. Eisen, why did you say the instructional services went up $1 million?
That went up, hold on, I'm on notes here. That has to do with our contracted services, our autism, contracted teachers, and those are going up for that, because we have so much, contracted services in here. We have a lot of contracted teachers, the FACES teachers that we have, the foreign teachers that we have come in, but they're very costly. So that's part of that.
What about the data processing services?
The data
That's a big,
that is the Power School that, is costing us $600,000. That was paid out of Easter last year, but now we're rolling that into our regular budget.
There's some things about Power School we're gonna be looking into to make sure that, we're only purchasing what we need there. So I'm hoping that number's gonna come down.
You can keep on the telephone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do y'all have any questions on your purchase services or your salaries? Any more questions? No?
And I'm going to just, for salaries, that is the assumption that we are fully staffed, no open positions.
That's correct, yes, sir. And if you look at last year, if you look at the budget for, 23, 24, it was 51, and 22, 23, you're only at 46. And we haven't been fully staffed. Or Dr. Carter can tell you, we haven't been fully staffed in the last couple years. Yeah, it's all based on being fully staffed. On the next page, it goes into supplies. There's not much change in theirs except supplies, and that's just inflation. We raised the per pupil rate for the students by $5, so that helped the school get an additional things for their supplies. That was something that was done before Dr. Hall left, and of course we can look at that with Dr. Ray and see if that will be okay to keep that. Everything else is pretty much the same on those. And as I was telling early, as as I was speaking about earlier, the equipment is up by 300,000 because that is athletics and it wasn't split out. The majority of that is because you go from 24 to 300, that's what that is. The pupil activity, I had some questions about that I've been trying to get my staff. I didn't put the 13,000 in there, but after speaking with them, I will have to up that because I wasn't sure what that was. So I will be upping that just a little bit. And with everything that everybody requested, that puts us under $10 million. Don't take notes, Scott. This is a working copy.
There you go.
Oh, Scott.
I'm playing, Scott. But it is a working document, and I mean, we have to work through some of the things and get some things out of there that they may have requested and we may not necessarily need.
Yeah.
Do y'all have any questions on those items?
It's not unusual to be pretty far out of balance when you first start, and before you get in. And the capital people would call it value engineering, and so we got to dig into the weeds. And obviously, the biggest factor is what will happen with teacher salary schedule, et cetera.
And then on the next page, page 6, this is athletics request for Gaffney High School and the middle school. You can see what they currently have, what they've spent so far year to date, which is the middle column, and what they're requesting for 23-24. And there is some increase on those things for different items that they need to get done, whether they under budgeted this year or last year. So they've had to increase some of their expenses for that.
Blacksburg's on page 7.
And Blacksburg's on page 7, and then Blacksburg Middle, the same. I tried to set it up the same. The to-date is in the middle, and then their budget is on the.
And just for information, I'm having my first meeting with athletic directors tomorrow.
And I also included for your review, like I said, nothing was cut. I left everything in there. Then page 8 is Gaffney High
I'm sorry, Ms. Isom, before you
Yes,
move on
I'm
page
sorry.
6, what is the big difference with the athletic equipment at Gaffney Middle School? Going from 47.8 to 74.5.
Do you guys know the answer to that?
There's Mr. Long right there, Coach Long. He may know.
You said Gaffney Middle?
Yes, it's going from 47.8 to 74.5.
I think they need some reconditioning helmets.
Yeah, reconditioning of helmets. We had to buy some helmets. Gaffney Middle over the past 3, 4, 5 years has not reconditioned their helmets, and so many helmets is out of date. And as you all know, there's over 1,000 kids that's at Gaffney Middle, and it's roughly 80 kids that comes out for football with both teams, 7th and 8th grade. And when I first started, there was like over 50 helmets that was already out of date. So we need to purchase more helmets and keep them in a cycle to where we're in compliance.
Recertification of that equipment is really not an option.
Yeah, and they're very, I think they're like $500 a helmet. It's outrageous. Because I said to them, I said, this is a recondition, this isn't a brand new one. Yeah.
As well as shoulder pads as well. Shoulder pads go out of date. We have several shoulder pads there that needs to be reconditioned. Some are too big for the kids that's there now, and we're having to purchase some of that stuff.
Get me a big
Perfect,
Get
thank
back
you.
on track.
Thank you so much.
And that's probably part of the reason for Blacksburg being so high, is I know that he had quite a bit of helmets that needed reconditioning also for Blacksburg High. On page 8, it's the athletics supplement, so I took what they currently have, the 23-24, what they currently have versus what they are requesting, and you can
question.
Yes, sir.
And we talk about it, and this might be more for Coach Long, but we have, in years past, always had discussion. Obviously, it's the reason why the Gaffney principal makes more than the Blacksburg principal, more kids. He just said 80 kids play football between Gaffney Middle has 2 teams, Ewing only has 1. So why are the coaches being compensated the same? The Gaffney Middle coach has way more responsibility. He plays on Wednesday and Thursday every week. I mean, it used to be we had some discrepancies. My good buddy, Mr. Bailey, he used to fight that fight all the time, but we would tell him, Gaffney has more kids, so more kids, you have more responsibility. So that's not fair to the position.
We can look
I'll
at
look
that.
at, I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, that's the same reason why we gave that man over there a raise years ago, because he had more responsibility, and the principal at Ewing was making more money. I mean, it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
On the golf, is that girls and boys, or just the stipends there? I just see golf head coach. Is that does that include boys and girls?
Yeah, funded positions and student.
Okay, I see that now. Thank you. Thank you.
And I will tell you too, it used to be, they've added a cheer to the stipends. I don't think before they got stipends, but am I right, gentlemen, that they didn't get stipends for cheer? In the budget, that it wasn't budgeted through, and so that is an increase for this year compared to years past. For those. We did Ewing, okay, and then the, Blacksburg High School athletic salaries listed there. And I did them all the same, so you can see those there. And then, Blacksburg Middle. Do you have any questions about those?
I do have a question. The dance isn't included in here. Is that included in a different?
Dance falls
The dance is through cheer, isn't it?
No.
I don't know, I'm asking.
You talking about the stipends?
Yes,
We take care of dance through, Dick.
through Dickens? Okay, so through the, okay. Thank you.
No questions for those? Okay. Then the next workshop, the next page 13, it's the millage that y'all have for the last few years. Our current millage is 201.8 with our, South Carolina resident fiscal millage cap is 4.98, which means you could increase your millage up to 10 points if you want to. But for right now, we're looking at that, and we're going to try not to do that.
Correct.
Correct.
That is correct.
But that's just for your review so that you can see what
That's-
the millage has been in the past.
That would be the maximum allowable.
Yeah, that's your maximum allowable. And then 14, 15, and 15 are just showing you if you decide that you want to up your millage, what it would be at 6, 8, 10, so on and so on, if you decide to increase your millage. Okay, so page 16, I had the, so when I was working through this, I put in the 16 that you did approve, it's in yellow, I don't know if there's, yellow copies or not yellow on your copies, but that's the first line. The next little block is positions that are currently being paid out of Title I. But during an audit with Dr. Dukes and myself and some of his staff, we realized that there are some people that are being paid out of there that the plan, that are not doing title work, so those people are gonna have to come out and go into our general fund budget.
So let me ask a question on that. If they're being paid out of Title I and they're not supposed to be paid out of Title I, are there any repercussions?
Is there repercussions?
Well, that's why they're being taken out.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so-
why they're being taken
right.
out now.
So there won't be repercussions. The thing we're concerned about right now is making sure we spend down below 15% of what was allocated. We've got to get that done before the end of this fiscal year.
The next little block is didn't feel were priority lists, and we had, reasons for why we thought they were priorities versus why they weren't. I don't know if you have any questions about any of those or what kind of, yes, ma'am.
Ms. Isom, I just had a quick question for you. Where it says in the description, enrollment for ML is growing, the subgroups of students are, and then it has the description. What is the title for that position that would be added? It's missing from my sheet.
It's an ML teacher, yes, ESOL teacher.
So ML teacher, okay, just a general.
ESOL teacher.
Gotcha. So,
Oh, I
okay.
see, MLS, yeah.
It just didn't have the,
Yeah, I see that. My block must have gotten cut off.
that's all right.
Yeah, that's what those are. And we tried to, put descriptions on why they were priorities, but, Dr. White and I said, we're gonna work through those lists and see if they are priorities or not.
What is
At this time, both blocks are included, is that what you're saying?
No, at this time, the top two blocks and the one up at the very top is included. The bottom block, the 886 is not included.
Okay.
No, sir. It's not included.
What is the cost for that teacher with fringe?
For one teacher,
Well, just the one that I asked about.
Generally speaking.
Generally
and
speaking.
At least in the past, it would be $50,000.
Okay.
Benefits and all included.
Thank you. It's missing from my sheet. I appreciate it.
Obviously, it's gonna be a little higher than that
Yep.
now with the teacher, first-year teacher salary, minimum being 47. Or predicted to be.
do y'all have any questions about those, positions that we have on that sheet? No? The last few questions are just general information, your appendix to what we.
Hold on, Ms. Isom.
Oh, yes, sir.
Dr. White, I know you wouldn't hear it, but last year we had a discussion about adding a custodial position to Gaffney High School, about not doing it, and I see it's on here again this year.
Okay, I can explain that, that's me. Because of the transportation building, we were hoping that the transportation and another custodian could share duties with the transportation. Because currently our transportation building, they clean it themselves, so they were requesting, custodians, so hopefully that person can help.
They're gonna split between the high school and.
Yes, sir.
With fringe. I don't know if that's a need. Is that, that need?
Do y'all have any questions about any of the other positions that are listed?
This is a lot to absorb for you guys tonight.
We're gonna have to study a little.
Yeah. Me too.
I have one question, and this may be, Ms. Westerland, I love it, if this is what I'm reading. Student services stipends for the teacher assistants for the
Yep.
ED. Wonderful. That is awesome. That is very well deserved. Very good. It's an
Yeah,
extra
that's not a
stipend.
position, that's a
Stipend.
Right.
Love it. Love it, love it. Until you've been there, you don't know sometimes in some of those situations. Very good.
Miss Westmoreland, do we still have the drug and alcohol counselor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The item that you see there is additional money to fully fund, and they would provide a second counselor to us.
Okay, so we currently have one, we would be going to two.
That is the hope.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, I got one more question, I'm sorry. The student improvement manager, what is that? District?
Okay, so
School.
currently, that is our, Dr. Davis does student improvement and testing, and we have found that that is a lot of work for one person. We've looked at some other districts, and then that position is split, and we're hoping that if we could split that position, we wouldn't be sending back so much money on our payroll in the future. That was the reason for that position.
just a little background on that. Dr. Carpenter today did a little research with some of the surrounding school districts to see how they handle this. And the Title I job description is such that most of them have someone dedicated to that. You don't want to have to be sending money back to the federal government, and you got to make sure that you're following all those rules all throughout. So it's something we'll have to take a close look at.
Okay.
Does sending money back in the future prevent you from getting that amount?
It
I don't
could.
know.
They say it could. Somebody told me it could. but-
It can reduce your allocation.
That's why I was wondering. Because you don't need it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want to send back.
No. I'd rather owe them $1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Y'all have any more questions?
So on the bottom column, bottom block, that is not included.
The bottom block, the 886, is not included in my presented budget at this time, no.
So if they're not included, that means that those positions will not be there?
No.
Okay.
Like I said, I put everything everybody asked for, because I don't feel like I have not been in a school, but this is my first time in a school, and I can't tell a principal they don't need something, so that's the reason. And I didn't have a superintendent, so everything went on there, and this was a cabinet decision before Dr. White got here. We kind of put priority because of different descriptions, and those are listed why we didn't think they were needed.
So before we come back to you guys, we will be going back over this, and then you may have some decisions to make about what stays in and what stays out, and how that might impact the overall budget. We'll certainly provide you with our recommendation.
How are we tracking on this year's budget?
Right now, we're right in line. We're not overspent at this time, and our revenues look within range with the percentages compared to what we had last year. We're in the same range. As of the last report I gave you, I haven't run another report since the last one. So we're within range.
You can breathe.
Any other questions from Ms. Austin? Like I said, we know it's a general overview, and we know there are a lot of factors that are coming into play. And as you and Dr. White and other members of the cabinet look, and the principals look at adding, changing things, I know you'll be going over a fine-tooth comb. We just want to make sure that we're good stewards of the funds that the taxpayers provide for us. That's very important. But at the same time, we also want to make sure we provide the best education for our students. Because eventually they'll become taxpayers.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Any other questions? I know, like I said, it's very high level. Dr. White, we thank you, one, for joining us here. And I know it's sort of a fire hydrant view of the budget today, your first day. But we thank you, and I know that you'll bring your expertise to us with regards to the budget. It is always a very contentious time when you're looking at budgets for the school districts. So we know that there's a lot involved in that.
It's a pleasure to be here.
If there are no further questions, the next item on the agenda is the adjournment from the workshop. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? All in favor, show of hands.